Hey there, YouTubers. Well, today I have a special treat because my friend Peter Vargas sent me some coffee from Puerto Rico, so I am really happy about that, and I'll talk about that a little bit. So it's a non-Packer related item, but it's a coffee related item, so a lot of you can relate. But then we talk big time about keys to the game against the Atlanta Falcons, and it seems like every day the list gets longer and longer and longer for what we're going to have to do to have a chance against these guys. At the same time, partly because we're looking at we saw such a dark Monday for Packer Nation with two more players on IR and finding out that Rollins had groin surgery. I described the running backs and the cornerback and the defensive back position as a triage unit several times in the show. But there are some ways I think that we can get it done against the Falcons, even though it's definitely going to be a difficult game. So I hope you enjoy. Good Packer Nation morning. Good Packer Nation morning, everybody. It was kind of a dark Monday for Packer Nation, but we're going to move on from that. We'll talk about it a little bit, but we're going to try and move on from that as quickly as possible because the Packers have a big matchup coming up against the Atlanta Falcons, and this is going to be no short order at this point. But right now, let me know who you are and where you're coming at me from. We'll give you some Packer Nation shout-outs and Packer Nation roll call. I got one big one I got to give this morning. Hector is here. Is my buddy Peter on here today? He says good morning to Packers family, as always. Tom is here. Terry. Mark, good to see you, buddy. Annette is here saying, what's up, Brady? All right. Hey, Trent, how you doing? My cousin Trent from Thayer's Jewelers, Boston, Wisconsin. Go get you some jewelry, folks. John, good to see you. Bryce is back. Jacob is here as well. And Adiane, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that name right, but it's a really cool name. Donald is here, and Bryce. Oscar is as well. My buddy Rick, my high school buddy Rick. Rick's going to have some stuff to say, but all right, while you guys get on, Brown is here, Becky is here, Jared is here from Australia, mate. Giselle, good to see you. I am drinking my new favorite coffee out of my old favorite mug. If you haven't seen this mug before, it's this little peacock mug that my youngest made for me in school, like in grade school. I think it's awesome. It's like really colorful, and he drew this picture and they put it on a mug, and it's pretty cool. But anyway, the coffee I'm drinking out of it, I got to take a minute for. We got a couple from Southern California, Dawn Marie and Dale. All right. Hey, and Frank says hello to everybody. Monica says good morning. Dan Eberhardt. I went to school with a guy with the last name of Eberhardt, but I think that had a T on the end. All right. And I will be drinking this coffee this morning, not like yesterday where I just sort of psyched you out and then put it back down and psyched you out again. But I do have to take a moment to talk about the coffee this morning, and here's the reason. I forgot to put my microphone on. And while you're at it, feel free to talk nerdy to me. I don't know if you can read it because it's mirrored, but okay, guys. I have a huge shout out for my new buddy, Peter Vargas, out there. He's originally from Puerto Rico and the hometown of Lares, if I'm pronouncing it right. He sent me this coffee with a note, and listen to this, guys. He said he used to plant and harvest this coffee before he moved to the States. I think, Peter, you're living in North Carolina right now, if I'm remembering everything right. Philip says Happy World Series Day to everybody, which is also a good thing. Go Cubs. But I have to give you a big time shout out, man. I am loving the coffee. It is fantastic. I actually kind of tried to over pump this coffee up, but I couldn't get it to bite back at me. It's so smooth, and that is really difficult when you've got a ground coffee that's been shipped overseas. This stuff is really good stuff, okay? So I wanted to mention it to everybody. This isn't like a plug. This is a plug for Peter, my buddy, because he sent me this for free. But he comes from this area, so I do want to quickly mention the website. If you want to give it a try, you can go ahead and jump on. It's really simple. Just go to Cafe Lareño. That's LARENOPR, Puerto Rico.com. And you can pick yourself up some. So I thought that was pretty cool. And if you want to give it a shot, you definitely will not be disappointed. It's a really fine grind, so I got a little bit of a crema on it, and it really reminded me, it had some cocoa almost in it when I smelled it. I am enjoying this coffee. The thing that blew me away though is I can't get it to bite back. It's so smooth, and it's a little viscous. It's got some mouthfeel to it without being bitter. I am loving it. Thank you so much, Peter, and I hope you have a good day. All right, folks. If you want to give, all right, right now, before we get started, who out there is for the Cubs? Let's do this. We'll do this in two parts. If you're out there for the Cubs right now, put up a heart for the Cubs. I don't see any hearts. I got to believe there's a lot of hearts coming across for the Cubs here pretty soon. And I see Cheryl saying, go Tribe. So we'll say that in a minute. Just hold on. I'm going to give you your fair chance, all right? Because we're going to do this. We're going to do this one at a time. And I see some Cubby love coming across the page. My grandfather used to work on the Soo line, so he was able to take the train for free, I think. And my dad and a lot of my family are Cubs fans because they would go down. That was the only way they could get to Chicago. And I have spent the day at Wrigley Field. It's really, really awesome. All right, so some Cubby fans out there. How about anybody for Cleveland out there? I love it because this is two teams that haven't been there in forever. I just love it. And frankly, you know, of course, I like the Cubs being in there. I'm a Brewers fan, but when the Cubs get there, to me, there's no question at that point for me. But who's the Cleveland Indian fans out there? I see a lot of love coming as well. Oh my goodness, we got. I wish I could see who you were, dude. We got a real fan out there. All right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't watch a lot of baseball. I like to watch baseball live, and I like to watch the World Series and the playoffs from time to time. As a Brewers fan, you don't often, get to watch baseball too late. When the playoffs roll around, you've already moved on to Packer football. So, with that said, let's move on to Packer football. Guys, it was a dark Monday, was it not, for Packer fans out there, all right? Emoji me your feelings right now, Packer Nation. Okay, Demetri Goodson just gets on the field. We need him, and now he gets put on IR. Jared Abbrederis gets put on IR. This is likely the last time we'll see Jared Abbrederis in a Packer uniform. I mean, he goes on. He's not going to make it back this year. He wasn't making a splash. Jared, I see a lot of sad faces out there, angry too, but I'm feeling more sad than anything really right now. But Jared Abbrederis, we got Trevor Davis now. We got Jeff Janis. Jared can't even get on the field as a kick returner now. And he didn't really show a lot of splash when he got on the field. He had the drop ball. This is the thing about Jared, is every first pass he's thrown, he drops. But now he gets put on IR again. So injury prone, he has not been available for the Packers. And remember, how many times have you heard Mike McCarthy talk about availability being so important to be a Packer player, get on the field? Sean is saying we got too many guys hurt. Okay. All right, guy. Oh, geez. And then so Jared Abbrederis, and then we find out that Rollins had groin surgery, and he's going to be gone probably 6 to 8 weeks. So we are banking our starters and hoping to get interest. We are banking our starters and hoping to get interest right now because our running back core is a triage unit. Our defensive backfield, they are a triage unit right now, and we are just hopefully banking them that they can get healthy and they won't have any miles on their tires some point in the future. This is just awful right now. And Josh says, Abby's always hurt, poor guy. And I do. I totally feel for him. And if you want to put a heart up there with a little love for Jared Abbrederis, because this may be the end of, you remember how excited we were as those of us who are Badgers fans? So excited that Jared Abbrederis got drafted finally by Ted Thompson. And now this. So it's going to be a very, very difficult challenge coming up, all right? I wrote a post yesterday. You can see it if you want at greenbaypackernation.com. And I called it the 3 keys to the game plus 1 honorable mention. But then this morning, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking is it just me? Give me a thumbs up if there are not 10,000 keys to winning this game against the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, for crying out loud, we could start listing them. You could probably list a half dozen on special teams alone. We've got to have Shum's got to punt the ball well. Shum's got to hold the ball well. We can't have missed field goals or extra points. We can't have field goals at all. We've got to score touchdowns. We have to cover better. We have to find somebody who can run the ball. That's special teams. Overall, we have got to control the time of possession in this game. We have got to stop turning the ball over. On defense, we've got to take the ball away. We have got to limit the penalties in this game. We've got to, on offense, find a running game. Aaron Rodgers has got to continue the good stuff he started in the second half against the Bears. Jordy Nelson has got to make a shot play or two. Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, Ty Montgomery have got to continue the work they did against the Bears. On defense, we've got to cover. The Atlanta Falcons skill core is about as good as it gets in the NFL right now. How are we going to cover these guys? We've got to get to Matt Ryan. There are so many keys to this game, and it just boggles the mind. But I'm gonna talk about a few of them. If you guys have a few, here's a good point. Kirk is saying Julio Jones licking his chops for this game. I think so too. I completely agree with you. And I think that Atlanta, if they have one weakness in that group, it's probably, that their running back situation is a little bit. Devontae Freeman, good running back, but it looks like Tevin Coleman is out for this game. He scored a touchdown on the ground against the Chargers. Devontae took his shots as well, but our run defense matches up well against their running back situation. And so I think that they're going to want to throw the ball around. That's what's made them successful anyway. And that does pose a challenge. And like you said, don't you think that Julio Jones is licking his chops for this game? Now, here's my caveat on that, okay? Well, number one, they also have Jacob Tamme and Sanu. But the big thing to me, the big name that pops up for me when we talk about Julio Jones is Ladarius Gunter. So we'll see what we can get out of this. We saw some good things. And if Ladarius he had a little bit of a rough game, but then the game against the Bears was good, and we have started to lock down a little better on opposing offenses' number one receivers. Knock on wood, okay? But at the same time, we'll see what happens. The guy is sometimes he's uncoverable from time to time. And here's the other thing, is Matt Ryan is doing a much better job standing in the pocket than he had been doing in the past. And I have to have more coffee. Thank you again, Peter. I appreciate it. But did I say Stafford? Ryan, he is doing a good job, and Ryan, which makes it very difficult. One of the keys of the game that I mentioned, I'm starting to second guess myself on this. But I talked about how we're going to have to, because of the defensive backfield situation, we're going to have to be able to get our pressure with the minimal amount of defensive linemen and linebackers that we can possibly use. We're going to have to commit. We're not going to be able to commit safeties up in the box. But now I'm not sure if that's the case. I mean, are we better off just trying to get to Ryan and knock him down early and often? We've got Julius Peppers. We saw what he could do in the game against the Bears. Maybe we need to just bring it and bring it and bring it and bring it all day long. And knowing that they're going to get their shot plays, that they're going to connect. I tell you what, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, they are in sync when plays break down right now. In broken plays, they are in sync. They are on the same wavelength. And I don't think the same can be said about Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson right now. Joshua says, Julio Jones is a tall order for our best defensive backs. Our safeties will be spying him for sure. We have to commit. We have to commit guys to those safety. But that's my question. Or do you just go after Ryan and man up with Gunter and give him a shot at this one? Because he showed some good things. I don't know. We'll see. Rick is saying we blitz Ryan plays zone coverage. I'm not sure. And I think after I wrote this post and this morning, I am kind of thinking that might be what we do. Part of the reason being, Dom Capers, he is one of those guys. He's going to look at what kind of personnel can you put on the field. Some coaches go out there and they say, listen, this is the game plan. Next man up is going to execute it, and it doesn't matter who that is. But I do think Dom goes out and he says, listen, where are our best players located, and let's focus on that. And that tells me, I may have been wrong about that. Maybe we will just go straight after him and try to and try to rattle Ryan early and often, that's a tall order too, because he is really standing well in the pocket, and when the plays break down, he is doing a very good job right now. So yeah, it's going to be a tall order. I am afraid. Then, and this to the question or this comment about Julio Jones, I'm actually afraid that Sanu and Jacob Tamme are going to have good games in this game. But if we can shut down Julio Jones, or at least keep him under wraps, I don't know that you can shut him down, we have a chance on defense to keep the points down where we're going to need them to be. On the offensive side of the ball, we're going to need to score more like we did in the Chicago game. Now, how do we do that against the Falcons? Well, I went through, if I thought that there were some matchups where our strengths meet their weaknesses, then of course what we just mentioned is exactly not the case, because our defensive backfield is a triage unit, and they're running a wide receiver core, and even Freeman out of the backfield is good too. They are an obvious and definite strength. This is a bad matchup, and that's again part of the reason that I think Dom Capers is going to have to really think through whether we just have to bring it all day long and know that they're going to make some shot plays, but hope that it wins for us in the end. I'm not sure, but that's obviously going to be a difficult matchup for us. But in terms of strength, we've got our run defense is very good. If we can make them one-dimensional, we have a chance. And if we can make them one-dimensional without having to commit extra guys, stop the run and get some pressure on Ryan, we may be able to hold up a little better in the defensive backfield than would kind of be expected. The other thing, and in here, agree or disagree, I think that our offensive line may or may not be the absolute difference in this game. And part of the reason being, well, let me ask you this question. I wanted to ask Packer Nation this question, all right? So I'm going to ask it in two parts. So you're gonna give me a thumbs up if you agree with the first one, and then wait. And if you don't agree with the first one, then I'll tell you the second one, okay? So the question is this. Would you rather see more of Ty Montgomery or Davis on the field? Who's going to be the running back that we need to perform? That's really going to have to perform at a high level. So if you think it's Ty Montgomery, that's going to have to be in the backfield again, and is going to have to get it done. Thumbs up right now. There's one, a couple. All right, if you think, Davis, okay, here it's coming now. I mean, Ty Montgomery, 9 carries for 60 yards against the Bears, but these aren't the Bears we're playing. It's going to be, they got Vic Beasley back there. They got that, I lost his name. Keanu Neal, he is a good safety back there. That was a nice pick by them, I thought. And they like to bring him into the box. I am expecting for the Atlanta Falcons not to bring Neal into the box right off to see if they can hold up without, but then if they do, it could be difficult. How many of you think this is Davis's time to shine? He's now had a week. He's going to have to get in there and be a difference maker. If you think that, then give me a thumbs up on that one. Because again, that's our other triage unit is the running back core. We've got a wide receiver back there who carried for 60 yards, and I got to give Ty Montgomery a lot of credit. But to some extent, we made this desperation play to bring in Knile Davis, and he's had a little bit of time to develop. And this is the one thing we saw, and all credit to Ty Montgomery in that game. And I will say this too, Ty Montgomery brought a little bit of a load there once or twice, once he gets going. But we saw what happened when we tried to run Ty Montgomery up the inside on 4th and goal. It didn't work out very well. And that's where a guy who hasn't played running back for a long time is going to struggle. So who do we need in there? It's going to be difficult. And Riley is saying run both. Okay, and I understand that, and they're going to do that, but I'm asking you to choose one or the other. Which is the guy that's going to be the difference maker? Who's going to have the most yards? Who's going to have the most carries? Who's going to be the difference maker? But yeah, we're going to have to mix it up, and I do think the fact that Ty Montgomery brings a different element. He can stretch a defense out. Will be interesting to see. However, here's the other thing, is if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, and I know, and Ty Montgomery is in the backfield, guess what? I'm not going to be concerned with up the middle. I'm going to let my front guys take care of that. I'm going to be concerned. I'm going to stretch, make sure they don't spread us out, or make sure they don't beat us around the outside. If Davis goes in, that's when I'm going to have to maybe stack the box. But for crying out loud, it's just absolutely crazy. And I do have a feeling, I'll tell you this, I think Davis may have something to say in this game, and part of the reason being, you saw how excited Jared Cook was to play with Aaron Rodgers. I see, Davis as just super stoked. He just really is. That doesn't run the ball for you by any stretch. But you look at our strength of offensive line, and I think this offensive line is the unit that has been more consistent than any unit we have put on the field. So far this season, that offensive line has been the most consistent unit. And I think they're going to take it on themselves to be difference makers in this game. We're going to have to be able to run the ball a little bit. We're going to have to you got to keep defenses honest, or we're going to have difficulty, because at some point, the short passing game, people are going to, pick up on that. So one of my big keys to the game that I didn't mention, because I think the short passing game gets our offense in rhythm. It helps. And if it's high percentage, I'm for high percentage. But then you've got to hit the shot plays, because the shot plays are then going to open up, and you got to hit those. And Ross is saying he's expecting a two-back set with both of those guys out there, and that's a good point too. And they like to go, they like to do that because now you've got a little bit of symmetry. It tends to spread the defense out, and you can't just, in my understanding, it makes it harder to just commit a strong side and try to crack down on one side. You got to be real honest and symmetrical across the board in that situation. Be interesting to see if they pull that out, and I wouldn't be surprised a bit. This is one of the things, Mike McCarthy oftentimes gets, criticism for not being creative in the play calling, but he has been quite creative this year in the different sets, the different offensive sets that he's been putting on the field. They've been putting more on. All right, we're going to move on because I see Phil mentioning one of the other, and this was in my post. Guys, we have got to protect the cussin' football in this game. This is going to be a hostile environment, and we couldn't even hold on to the ball at Lambeau Field. What is going on? It has to stop now. We have got to stop putting the ball on the turf. And part of that is to be able to run the ball. Part of that is to get the ball out quick, but it has to stop. It's fundamental football to hang on. Ball security is the number one thing. You can't score without the ball. And so thank you, Phil, for bringing that up, because that is on the post at GreenBayPackerNation.com. We have got to cut that crap out. This has not been our MO for a long time. And all of a sudden, in the last since the Minnesota game, we have not been able to. Ball security has been a major problem. If we don't win the turnover battle, or at least equal out in this game, we lose the game. That is my impression of it. On the other side of the ball, I think we are going to need to we got to take it away. We got to take it away. We can't, again, we've had the same issue on the opposite side. When we've had interceptions in our hands, we've been dropping them. We can't afford that either. I think we're going to have to take one away. I would love nothing more than to see Ladarius Gunter break up Julio Jones's route, get underneath him, high point the ball, and pick off Julio Jones in this game. I would just freak if that happened. It would be awesome. All right, Ross is saying special teams better show up and play. If you agree with this statement, which, it's one that I mentioned at the beginning, there are 9 billion keys to this game, I think, at this point. But if you think that special teams need to show up and play this time around, why don't you give Ross Janes a heart right now? Coach, I'm gonna have to send you another play and see if you can do another post for me, buddy, because that was an awesome post. I need a little more of that in my life right now. But yeah, special teams need to show up and play in this one. For crying out loud, we finally we're missing field goals. We have last year we had some good kick returns. Jeff Janis had some good ones. We had Ty Montgomery in there for a while doing it, I believe, if I'm remembering right. Had some good ones. Now we're going to have to, all right, I will, Ross. I'm going to send you something. I wanted to go through and find out which one, what I'd like to see you break down, and I will do that probably sometime today. But special teams is going to have to show up. And I think, the defense, my analysis on the defense, it's just general analysis is, is the defensive backfield is going to have to gut out a win. I mean, we've got some young guys that have shown some stuff back there, and then we got a bunch of guys that are going to get some playing time. And, you know, Shields is gone. You know, it's just decimated back there. They're going to have to step up. But I think our veterans I'm looking at Clay Matthews and I'm looking at Julius Peppers. And remember how we described the smackdown in the Bears game that broke Hoyer's arm, and it had nothing to do with the hit. It was just he went down awkward. It was completely clean. But we called it the Wonder Bread sandwich with Julius Peppers on one side, Clay Matthews on the other in their color rush uniforms, and then the Bears in the middle as meat. I mean, it was a thing of beauty. This is what we have been looking for a long time. And Bryce is saying Gunter gets a pick. That is that would be, if I had to pick like one key to the game, I almost think that would be it, if we could pull off that. And Billy is saying pressure is key in this matchup. So there you go. I am calling on our veterans, you know, and of course, well, you got, you know, Perry in there. Dayton Jones, I did not think had a great game against the Bears. Nick Perry needs to return to form. We're going to have those guys wreaking some havoc back there. The Elephants as well back there. Yeah. And I'm going to hold off for a second. It looks like yeah, there we go. And again, I am torn now as to what I would focus on. And I am almost of the opinion right now that there are some games where you just have to bring it. You just have to bring it and bring it and bring it. And I can see some of you out there saying, yeah, and the Atlanta Falcons are not the team to do it against. I can totally see that. But sometimes I get these weird feelings. I don't know, Coach Ross, maybe you can chime in on that, because I've been in those situations where you just get this feeling that today's the day. We have some young guys doing some good things. I want to see Blake Martinez get out there. He's had some good games, and Ryan are going to have a good game as well. We're going to look at that. They're going to be looking to get Tammy matched up on our linebackers. We know coming out of the backfield, it's not going to be a short order, to say the least. It's going to be a tall order. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to talk about, but so yeah, not going to be easy. Any of you guys have any more keys to the game? Nichols says triple team Julio Jones. That might be costly too, but I really do think that this is one of the things that I think is going to be interesting to watch, and that's where, like, you know, yeah, maybe we put Montgomery and Davis on the field at the same time. It's interesting to me because I do think the Atlanta Falcons are vulnerable against the run, especially up the middle, to my mind. I think Beasley is pretty quick. He's fast he's fast to the quarterback, but it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what we can do in the running game in this game. If we have success, I think that's going to come down to how our offensive line plays. That's why I think, honestly, our offensive line playing is probably the most positive factor I can see going into this game. Those are the guys that I really feel could absolutely be the difference maker. And then, of course, we say it, the game is won in the trenches, and so the defensive line in the same manner. But the defensive line I've had very few complaints, and Kenny Clark came on strong against the Chicago Bears. He's going to need to just keep up in his game, and we said that from the beginning. We saw how Kenny Clark played in the preseason. He's a very young kid, and he is one of those guys that we saw as an investment. We knew we would get Pennell back after a few games, and he would get a chance to get a lot of playing time. He wasn't going to be perfect, but he was going to get tons of snaps, tons of reps, and tons of experience, good or bad. And remember, you learn more from your mistakes. So we are starting to see that come to fruition with Kenny Clark right now. And he's another guy to watch, I think, in this game. It'd be fantastic to see him continue to turn it on, and get better and better and better. All right. Hey, I see Peter's on. I don't know if I saw you earlier. Peter's got an interesting situation. This is worth mentioning because if I'm not misspeaking here, I think you're down in North Carolina, and wife is a Carolina Panthers fan. So all of you know the situation, how this works. She's a Panthers fan, so this week she wants those Packers to beat the Atlanta Falcons, right? And helps the Panthers move back up. So in this week, all is going to be copacetic in Peter Vargas's household, they're both going to be cheering for the same team. It's going to be a really nice day. And Peter said, I think in a Facebook message, that they're super excited for this game. Not going to be now. If I watched the game against the Chargers, and again, this is not an undefeated team anymore, so it's not an undefeatable team anymore. But that is a very hostile environment. You listen to that crowd in that stadium, and they really get going. So we need to find ways. We are in that time of possession. If we can find ways to extend drives, if we don't extend drives in this game, we lose this game, I'm telling you. Because then the crowd gets back in it. If we can't quiet that crowd down and extend some drives, I think we're going to really have some struggles. If we continue to put our decimated defensive backfield on the field after 3 and outs and tire them out, then late in the game we are going to get decimated. It could be a smackdown if we're not careful. However, if our offensive line does what it's been doing, if we can generate a running game in this game, and I think if we continue to show that balance, both in the run game itself, a little bit of balance between the shots up the middle with a little bit of a push, maybe a little more power running scheme, but then also using Montgomery to push the edges a little bit, but then the short passing game, and hit once in a while. We're going to have 2 or 3 shot plays in this game. We've seen it, but we haven't been connecting on those shot plays. Most of our shot plays success has been pass interference calls. But if we hit a couple of those, then we have a chance. We have a chance in this game. And we'll talk about that Friday, because Friday is Prediction Friday always. But guys, it's like Tuesday. I feel like I want to try to predict this game already. And it's Tuesday, for crying out loud. So, but tomorrow's Wednesday, and we will start getting to it. But it's going to be a little while. Yeah, it's been a long week, but we are through the weekend of no Packer football. And Wednesday is going to be here. Hump Day is tomorrow. And we'll be talking about the Packers again in the same bat time, same packed place. Peter is saying Trevor Davis needs some more reps and experience. Give a thumbs up if you agree with that. He's been able to get a little. He's fast. I mean, he showed it. Hasn't been able to connect yet, but that again goes to that shot player too. One of the things I've mentioned is that it seems like the only thing we do with Trevor Davis is try to get a shot play out of him. Although he did the one time we finally threw to him short, he dropped the ball. So we can't have that. He can't be wasting opportunities out there. It's way too much like Jared Abbrederis. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing him opposite Jordy Nelson on the outside. If they bring somebody down the box and at that point. Oh, Peter's asking if I like the coffee. Dude, you should watch the replay, man. I reviewed the coffee. I love the coffee. I said it's my new favorite coffee and my old favorite mug. This is the mug my little boy did the picture of the peacock in grade school, and they put it on a mug for me one Christmas. And yes, it is very good. South American coffee has a certain element all its own. Now, I know regionally, I don't know enough about them regionally to know the difference, but I love it. I do, and I believe it's a South American style. I have a pour-over coffee maker that I made from a broken bottle, and I love making coffee that way. And this coffee was fantastic. There was crema on top that had such a fine grind. It had a lot of nice mouthfeel and crema. I went over the whole thing, man. I am loving it. Thank you so much, buddy. The only thing I'm sad about is now I'm going to send the other half to my brother. So I'm going to let him enjoy the other half of it. And once again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate good coffee in the morning. So, and I did mention the website as well. If you want to buy it, I'll mention it one more time. It's called Cafe Lareño. And it is Cafe Lareño PR, Puerto Rico.com. So CafeLarenopr.com. And you can actually order it and get it yourself. So everybody give it a shot if you want. And the reason I mentioned the website is not because anybody's paying me to do so, but a lot of times if you, at least to some extent, you can support the people like Peter who went out and planted and harvested this stuff. Unfortunately, they get like the least of the money and they do the hardest work. But at the same time, I like to support them when I can. So I'm going to look up that website in a little bit here. All right. Guys, all right, folks, I'm going to close it up. Oh, I got a good point. I can't close it up yet because Virginia's out there saying Atlanta is coming off a loss. They're going to be hot, folks. They are going to be hot. And it's a good point. Thank you for mentioning that, because that's one of the things I wanted to mention. There's hostile environment, and this is a hostile group of people. They are not happy. They were up on the Chargers and really should have won that game. And you look at the Packers now. The Chargers had Melvin Gordon score a touchdown on the ground. The Packers cannot bring that kind of a running game, I don't think, to the table. So it'll be interesting to see. I like their. I'm not sure that they're going to feel like they need to commit a safety down in the box against us, at least until we can prove that they do. I don't think they will do that. It's not going to be an easy game. But, yeah, we've got to be ready for these guys. This is not going to be an easy game. All right. Well, I think that's all I had for today. I definitely hope you have a fantastic Tuesday. I'm going to enjoy some more coffee. It's good stuff. And I will let you guys go. Let's see here. Well, if you haven't got on, just quickly, if you haven't got on for a new game, you can win the ring. At Green Bay Packer Nation, we say get the ring. You can win our trophy, that's this ring, by going to firefan.com. And all you got to do is punch in the promo code, get the ring, all one word. And that'll bring you to it. You fill out little forms, accept the terms and whatever stuff. And you will get in before this game even comes out, which means you'll get some sort of pregame perks. In a couple days, I think, I'm going to be able to tell you guys what those perks are going to be. Apparently, the company had some sort of last-minute ideas that they wanted to implement. They thought were great ideas, and so they're going to let us know what those are pretty soon. So I'm getting pretty stoked. And guess what? Packer Nation is going to be well represented. Another thing that we're going to be announcing, and I'll probably do this tomorrow, is they've got the company, there's a marketing division for this, and then there's the game itself. The game is Fire Fan, and we will come up with a name for our league, which will be Packer-oriented. So if Fire Fan doesn't strike you too much, don't worry about it, because you guys are going to come up with the name for my league. But the company, the marketing side of it, is coming up with a contest for the best fan, and they're actually going to give away tickets to the championship game of your choice to the fan that wins this thing, okay? So I'll have to get the details, and I'll get those ready tomorrow, and we'll bring those. So stay tuned, and I'll fill you in on those. Bye-bye, Phil. And if you guys got to go, Phil's saying go Cubbies. Kirk is saying, what's an address to send stuff? To send stuff to me, if you need to send anything to me, just contact me over Facebook, and I can send you my address. We can definitely. Ross is a Cubbies fan, and I can definitely catch up with you on that, Kirk. So yeah, on the way out, why don't we, since it's time for the World Series, why don't you just put up Go Cubs, Go Tribe, whatever your favorite team is right now. Who are you pulling through in the series? And I will close it up for today. Until tomorrow, folks. And guys, thank you so much. If you're watching on YouTube and you wouldn't mind subscribing or hitting that like button down there, I would appreciate it a great deal. If you haven't gotten the game, just go to firefan.com. The promo code is Get the Ring, and it is your chance to win it, along with a lot of loyalty, reward points, and things like that as well. So, all right, have a great day, folks. We will talk to you again tomorrow. Same pack time, same pack place.